Everybody, welcome back to part 2 in this big pick of Machinist tools from this past November 2023. So dive right in here. Here's a set of Starrett punches. All the punches look like they're in pretty decent shape. And the case is kind of dirty and the lettering's worn and everything. And I still ended up giving 20 bucks for this set because I just thought it was a nice little set. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to keep that or not for myself. Also, I think from the same vendor for 15, I ended up getting this set of pin vices. That's a complete set, and that also appears to be in really nice shape. Whenever I come across these wooden holders for punches that are missing punches, or just, like this one here has a bunch of like random, that's an original Starrett punch that was ground down to a nub. And then there's a few random Starrett punches that are in decent shape, and then some, you got pin punches and center punches all mixed together. So I can probably, from the spare punches that I have on hand, almost complete one of these sets. And it's just nice to have the original case. So I paid $5 for that. That's worth it. I've been shying away from buying these Starrett 196 indicators like this, especially when they're just loose or if just a single indicator in a box like this, because I have so many of them. But this one is in perfect working condition, and with the original box, I gave 15 for it. These were a nice find. I found these in a toolbox, I believe, and when I first looked at them, I was like, oh, well, they're Cobell Diamond Tool Company, manufacturers of diamond tools and mandrels for all purposes. But it turns out somebody was just using these boxes to house these nice Starrett screw jack sets. And both boxes are loaded. So I got the two boxes here. I paid $20 each for these boxes. But there's quite a few screw jack components in there, so I didn't get a killer deal, but not bad. And then I got this one. This is actually an S190 screw jack box. It's the correct box. I paid $20 for this set. This set is a complete set. A complete set, for those of you who don't know, consists of a large spacer, the small spacer, this adapter, the screw jack itself with this type of pad that screws in, and then this alternate screw in with the point, and then the only thing that's missing from this set is what's called the Tommy bar, which is this a little metal bar that goes in this hole to turn this, to give you a little bit extra torque. So typically that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then if you count the missing Tommy bar in there, would be 8 pieces. So if we go back to my mystery sets here, you can see we've got extra of the larger spaces and of the smaller spacers. So let's see. Yeah, we got extras of that. Too many of those. Ball bearings are always handy in a machine shop, but they don't belong to the set. So there's one complete set except for the Tommy bar. The bar goes missing so often and it's just a straight piece of steel, so that's not a big deal. There's another complete set with a Tommy bar, missing the Tommy bar. And that leaves this left over, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, another complete one without the box. So that's a pretty good deal there. So 3 complete sets for $40. This is a nice Starrett adjustable parallel set. The parallels are actually in excellent shape. The case is just kind of a little dirty and grungy. But I got this for $20. That's a good deal. In this case right here, for $40, I got this Mitutoyo. It's the older style case. It's kind of worn off. This Mitutoyo dial caliper. I don't think this has ever been used. If it has been used, then it's been used very lightly and was put back in the plastic every time they were done using it. But this is nice because this is a 12-inch. Here's a little keyless chuck I got for 10 bucks. So this little chuck kind of intrigued me because it says made in Germany on it. So my first thought was, oh, it's an Albrecht. But then I looked at it and realized, no, it's not an Albrecht. And then I think Rohm, R-O-H-M, is the other name I see all the time. So I figured, well, that's probably one of those, which is a cheaper version. But it's neither one of those. It's actually marked Grand. And it says Teterboro, New Jersey, 706-1. So I think this was imported by a machinery supply shop supplier and sold under, you know, they had a badge with their information, I guess. I don't know. I have no trouble reselling that. And then this is a little pile of parallels that I put together a guy had. And I got this whole pile of parallels for $5. And what's nice about these is that there are actually a couple of ones here that match in height. I think we got, yeah, here we go. We got this 1/2 by 3/4 is a pair. And these are badged Anton Machinery of Brooklyn, New York. And I've actually had some stuff from that company before in the past, and it's been good quality stuff. So that's a nice little pair right there. That's worth the $5 alone. And then he threw in basically these two match height-wise, but they're different thicknesses. But these are all Anton. And this tall one here is unusual because it's 1/4 inch thick by 1 11/16 on height. And this one's unlike the others that are marked on the end, Anton. This one's clearly marked Anton Machine Works of Brooklyn, New York. These next two items, what's in these boxes is not what these boxes were originally for, but somebody repurposed these boxes to make these little sets. So the first thing is this little funky set right here. Somebody obviously had access to a precision grinder, surface grinder, and made themselves a little kind of weird little set here with this very nicely made block. I mean, this thing's beautiful. Doug G made this, and he was proud of it, and he should be. This is some fine work here. So it's almost like a bench block, right? I almost hate to rob this out of this little set that somebody put together, but I think I'm going to split this up because I first of all, I like this bench block. I might end up keeping it. Second of all, there is a non-shop made. This is a factory made, I think it's a Starrett surface gauge. Yeah, it's a Starrett surface gauge. So it doesn't really belong with the shop-made stuff. This is an interesting spacer made out of aluminum that the guy made. And I believe this is for, yeah. So the pins, the locating pins on this fit perfectly in this spacer. So he had some reason for that, I don't know what. Original scriber, by the looks of it, in there with it. And then also he made a little diamond dresser. So this is a nice finish on here. This is to stick down on your magnetic chuck on your surface grinder. And then it's got this part that sticks up with a diamond nub right there for dressing the wheel on your surface grinder. I paid $25 for this set. And then the same gentleman had this box here, and I paid $20 for this. And what's in here? Our same tool and die manufacturer who made that nice stuff that's in that other box made this, a very nice sign plate. His name's inside here. You take my word for it. He badged this too. And he's got all of these nice threaded holes in here. And this thing, what he's got in here in the box with this, which I will keep in the box, so I can keep this all together, is he's got fences that he's built for the ends. He's got these threaded dowel pins. And he's got these hold downs. A whole bunch of them. Some, oh, they're all the same here. So he's got, yeah, 6 of these hold downs like this for this thing. That's a nice piece. A honey for the money, as they say, at 20 bucks. Next batch of goodies, I ended up picking up this V-block right here. This is an Iran mule, made in Japan. So interesting V-block I got for 12 bucks. And those of you who watch my channel regularly may have recalled that a little while back I had picked at the outdoor flea market this guy right here for like 15 or 20 bucks. He's actually in a little bit better condition. Not much really. I mean, there's not really any damage. Just a little surface, more surface rust on this one. And this one's got more of the original color. This is, not sure what the coloring was on this originally. You can see right here there was a label that was stuck on here that said Iran. And on this one it's got the earlier batch, so it's an older version of the same thing. But they're identical other than that. So now I've got a pair of them. And it's funny because I remember when I got this one, it was the, I'm sorry, when I picked this one, it was the first time I had seen one of these ever. And I thought it was just a neat, handy looking block. And then, lo and behold, within months of each other, I find its match. So, very happy to get that for 12. This little Sears Craftsman angle finder with a magnetic base that you just kind of slap on, and it gives you a very rudimentary angle. This thing I got for free because it was stuck to the tool and cutter grinder that I ended up buying at this show, that I have since sold, but I believe through the magic of editing, we will now take a look at that. I didn't keep it for myself because it's pretty much the same thing as my old Hammond tool and cutter grinder, which I like. Moving along, I got for 10 bucks, I got this little box of SK wobble sockets. And again, I bought these just to keep for myself. The guy didn't have any machinist, this particular vendor didn't have any machinist tools to speak of, but he had this little set of wobble sockets. And these are great because they're shallow and they've basically got a U-joint built right into them. And then he did have this thread file, and I got him to throw this in for the 12 bucks. And then another vendor had these 5C collet stops. These are brand new, unused 5C. These are the friction style ones. So you use these in, for those of you who don't know, this is a 5C collet, and this is used for holding round work in fixtures and in lathes. Some lathes have a collet chuck. There are 2 basic variations of this type of collet. One has internal threads and external threads. The other has just external threads and is smooth on the inside. So depending on the type of collet, that dictates what type of collet stop you would use. And the collet stop just goes in the back and can be preset so that every time you slide a round bar, a round piece of stock in here, it stops at the same length every time. That way, if you're doing multiple parts, you can put the stock in, do the operation, take it out, put the next one in, do the operation, and then just keep doing that. I've got plenty of collet stops, so I'm going to end up selling these. These always tend to, sell pretty decent. They usually get 10 or 15 bucks a piece for these. And I got the 3 of these with these 2 bags of slitting saws for 15 bucks. And the slitting saws, this whole bag right here are 4 by 0.050, so that's 50 thousandths, with a 1-inch arbor, 150 tooth. And they look like they're all new unused. And then this bag, this top one right here is actually, it says Dayment carbide tool, 4-inch by 8 thousandths, 1-inch keyed, 150 tooth. And these also appear to be all new old stock. Didn't even look at what else was in this bag. I don't know if they're all the same or what, but they've got like little plastic trays on it. No, I'm not going to worry about it. Anyways, these are nice. Don't use them a lot, but when you want to use them and you dull them, it's nice to be able to just throw one out and slap another one on there. Alright, so we're going to get ready to close out this video with this last item, and this is an item that I come across every once in a while, and every time I can buy one of these dirt cheap, which in this case 20 bucks, I'll take a chance on it and buy it. I think to date, at one point I was up to 4 of these, and still hadn't sold any of them, and I think I recently finally sold one for 50 bucks. That seems to be about the going rate for a good used one locally, and then you can get a little bit more for them online, but because of the, you can see because of the size and the weight, they're a little bit difficult to ship if you leave them the way they are. However, it's actually not that difficult to take this apart into a couple of different pieces, and you can break this down and you can fit this into a with some decent padding, you can fit this into a large flat rate box and ship it for about 27 bucks. Priority mail. Anyways, this is a Delta, genuine Delta tenoning jig. This is made to slide in the slot on your table saw's tabletop and replace your regular compound with this special jig that allows you to clamp a board on end to make what is called a tenon, which is in wood joinery. You have mortises, which are square slots, and the part of the board that gets cut down to size to fit into that square slot is the tenon. And this makes cutting tenons on a table saw a dream. So, great tool for woodworking, and if you have like a nice, Delta uni saw, this is a really nice jig. And Delta, I think, still sells these for, I want to say that they're like 280 bucks new or some crazy thing like that. So I might be wrong on that. But anyways, I just did a quick price check online. So it was about 100 bucks off. They're $170 or so new at most vendors. But I figured for 20 bucks I wasn't going to pass it up. All right, I'm going to close out this episode right here, and we'll save the next batch of stuff for part 3.